When we already intrinsically have some self-doubt and then the world is also doubting us, I think it's hard. You need to be very intentional with the environment and the people you surround yourself with. That is what helps people overcome those things in order, to have success. Is that sometimes I need a Darnell who believes in me and I can borrow his confidence until I can get my own, right? But some people don't naturally have that. And so I do believe that be very intentional with the environment you put yourself in and then the people you surround yourself with. If you get those right, you'll never have any doubt.
Welcome. So today we have the incredible Kaleo Kina from Hampton Roads, Virginia. Kaleo is a veteran, market center owner, realtor, great friend, and a father. Thank you for joining us today, Kaleo.
Awesome. What's up, Darnell? I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be on the podcast. It's been a real cool, I think, 5 years of getting to know you as a friend and a peer. And so I'm excited to try to bring some value here today.
A lot of agents, especially new agents, struggle with work-life balance, right? So what's it like with you being able to balance your businesses and also your 4 young children and wife? So like when it comes to family time and one-on-one time with each child and your wife, of course. Tell me how that looks and how you deal with that.
Yeah, I think that over the course of the journey of being in real estate, that evolution has looked differently every year as I got better as a business owner and as a spouse, but I also changed every year due to the volume of children I was having at the time. And so just for some context, I have 4 kids under 6, and I also got into real estate in 2017 was when I had my first one. So my kids have actually been with me along the entire journey of real estate. I just started with 1, and today, 7 years later, I have 4. And so, yeah, I think the concept of work-life balance has changed for me over the course of time. I think we call it now work-life integration, right? And so it's not necessarily trying to find the perfect balance. I think we're always balancing and counterbalancing over our personal and professional goals. It's more about integrating the opportunity for those things to coexist and to support each other. And I think one of the best things about entrepreneurship, it allows us the opportunity to create a life by design, is what we say. And it starts with the person I have at home, which is my spouse and my wife, Kat Kina. I think without her supporting me in the way that she supports me, I couldn't go grow and try to drive the results that I've been driving in my world. And so not only is her partnership the most important, but that leads into like how I also have leveraged a lot of my business opportunities, right? So I do own a market center, a Keller Williams market center. I have a primary business partner in that. I do run a top real estate team in the area, Coastal Virginia Collective Realty. I do have a partner in that, right? I do have an investment company and hard money lending business. I do have a partner in that. And then at home, I have my spouse who's my partner. And then we run all our employees, all my kids at home too. And so I think for me, the way that I've solved that work-life balance / work-life integration is I found very specific people that I can partner with that helps support and carry the burden of driving a result for all the businesses. And at home, it's my wife. And so I would say find the right people to partner with, right? And so that's how I've tried to solve that equation.
You definitely have the greatest listing agent on your team.
I'm going to definitely let Megan know. She definitely loves you and gives me.
I I'll never forget that when I met Megan, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're the listing agent. Yeah, she's your partner. What do you mean?"
She came back, and now it's a running joke in the office whenever we meet people. She's like, "Oh, I'm just the listing agent," when in fact she was the founder of the company.
Yeah,
And so it
yeah.
was hilarious. But that'll be a forever moment we can continue to have in our history books. That was hilarious.
Forever, forever. That was great. So, what notable shifts in your mindset have gotten you from one level to the next?
Oh, that's a good question. Shifts in my mindset. I'm Hawaiian. I have a big family. I was raised by my mom, my grandma, and aunt. And so I've always been like a team person. Like I enjoy the energy and the value that I know people can bring. And so I think that one of the understandings is something I just touched on is like understanding that no one of us is better than all of us. And so finding the right people to partner with or to create relationships with and give value to that you'll get tenfold more. And so my mindset is like in giving, I'm always receiving. And so, I mean, Darnell, we've had some of this. Like anytime you ask me for something, like I'm not just telling you what I've done. I'll give you the exact contracts or the operations manual or ask to hop on a call with your people. Like I believe that by providing so much value, you know, the law of reciprocity, at some point you're going to want to bring value to me back. And I know I'm a high driver. I love to know all the things, but somebody's better at something. And I value that opportunity to learn from the person doing it at a higher level. There's no ego involved in terms of me having to know everything. I know where I'm good at. I also know where I'm not good at. And I latch onto the relationships that can help me be better.
I love that you said the law of reciprocity. Like that's one of the things that I live by. You know, how can I provide? How can I help? How can I provide value to other people? And people are constantly asking, like, "Hey, why do you always try to help other agents get business? Or why are you tagging all these people in these groups? Or why are you connecting two agents even though you have nothing to gain from it?" And it's like I do have a lot to gain from it at the end of the day, which is relationships, but also I get to see two people that I know get to work together when it comes to vendors and whatnot. Like I don't need to be a part of the deal or make any financial gain directly. It's just feels great to connect people, and like you said, the more you do out there, the more you give, the more you're going to receive. So I definitely agree with that a lot.
And I think that's probably what has connected us and what I love about you too. I see you do that all the time. In a world where it's been give and take and in a commission based business, unfortunately, I think we flow towards like trying to get something right now, right? And it's not looking at the big picture. And I think that oftentimes when you're newer, you're trying to make money, you're trying to get a deal, and you're trying to do these things, and you attribute that to like getting a return immediately. And what I found is like we value the return on a single decision or event or transaction instead of the lifetime opportunities of that relationship on the other side. And so it's funny, it's almost opposite. Like I tell people all the time, I'm a selfish giver. And what do they mean by, and they're like, hey, what do you mean by that? I was like, I aim to provide so much value and to give so much to a person that I know that they're going to feel like they need to give back to me. Like, it's like, I know the people doing it at a high level. So like one of my mentors and best friends now, Daniel Dixon, ran a huge mortgage company and retail company. I knew I wanted to learn from him in some capacity. So I found his top agent who happens to be his cousin and his ops person. I'm like, how can I be of value to you in such a way that they're going to speak to you about how much value I've brought so that you can then provide some value back to me? So it's just like, if we just understand that in giving, you're always receiving, like it can really change your mind because you never know when those opportunities come back, but they do. They do.
I remember, I forget what event we were at, but Daniel Dixon was there, and you're like, "Yeah, you're gonna be like my bestie. I'm gonna fly out. What's your number? You know, like, and you made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was where was it
It
Charleston
was
or
Charleston.
somewhere?
Crazy
Yeah,
story about that is I couldn't attend that event. We both had a mutual friend who invited me to be a panelist. And I was like, June is a tough month for me. That's my birthday. My family likes to spend my birthday with me and like do things for me. And then he called me back and was like, hey, the guy that you wanted to meet at the last event, Daniel Dixon, is going to be a panelist too. And I was just like, revert, I'm going to go. And it was a 24-hour turn for me. I flew up just to fly back, but I knew that was a powerful relationship. And so I would say that with all of the things we have in real estate, somebody is already doing what you're trying to do and they're already doing it at a higher level. And if you bring enough value, like get the cheat code, you create that relationship, you can now just go so much faster. Because I do think we have a tendency to try to do it all on our own. And bro, it's hard. It's hard out in these streets to do it by yourself.
very hard. That was my personal biggest struggle coming from being an entrepreneur, having my own business. I'm like, I don't need these scripts. I used to write scripts for my employees. It was silly. I don't need to read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent or know all these things. And it took like 2 years to get out of my own ego. And I figured it out like, hey, I actually don't need to reinvent the wheel. Someone's already done this and they did this at a way higher level, and I can just duplicate what they're doing, or fine tweak it, to my own needs. And everything has been great since then, since I removed the ego and thinking
And
I knew
sometimes
everything.
all that information, it is overload, but it's also the timing of your understanding and education. And so like I was exposed to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent way back in the day. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I read it, I was like, this doesn't apply to me. And then now I do use it as a true foundation for all my business thoughts. Like I utilize it as the foundation. Now I personalize a lot of things, but like I understand it a lot more today than I did before.
That's awesome. And speaking on levels, how do you deal with your circle of friends changing when you grow into new levels and different levels of success?
Yeah, that's tough. I'm Hawaiian, so I am very close with my family and friends. I'm also a Cancer, so they say I'm emotional. I don't know. You can ask people around me if they think I'm emotional or not. But I just love hard. One of my superpowers, I think you've told me offline, yours is problem solving. One of my superpowers is the individual relationship. I really do believe that if we get in real relationship and we become friends, like you won't find a better best friend than me. Like I will love you, I'll support you, I won't judge. I'm just a really good friend to have, and like I want to be that. I want to be valuable to other people in that manner, and that's just something for my past history with life. That's just something that I've kind of catered to, and so I would say in the beginning, like like transitioning to new phases of friendships, Drake would say no new friends. And in the beginning, I would feel that way. Like if I allowed a friend to get too far away, I felt like I was turning my back on him, right? Or that I didn't want him to feel like they would do that or that person. And so it's like I struggled with like understanding that in order to provide the impact on my family and the friends and the people that I want, I have to be the example of what it's like to move forward in that degree. And so me moving at a pace isn't leaving anybody behind. It's me capitalizing on the journey that I'm meant for. And then I'm going to be the lighthouse for others to do that. Right. And so not that they were holding me back, but I wouldn't want to hold other people back. And so really getting really focused on my why allowed me to kind of move in that direction and knowing that in my heart, like I don't have a bad intention of like people feeling like we're moving. It's just if we can't operate in the same space, it's just hard to keep those friendships. Like even now, I tell people like you're either hanging out with my family, you're in my market center, or you're on my real estate team. If you are in any of those three circles, you'll get a lot of Agent K all day. If you're not in one of those three circles, there's limited bandwidth and time for me to operate out those circles because those three circles today are the things that are driving, my financial and personal goals.
That's awesome. Well, we definitely want new friends. We're not Drake for sure. We need new friends to get to new levels and learn things that we didn't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is there a notable conversation that you had that you remember that had a surprising impact on your life or timely impact on your life?
I mean, I've had tons, right? Like I love, I enjoy the process of getting to know people. So it puts me in different circles all the time. And I believe I can learn something from everyone. The first one, I guess, a notable conversation was it had to deal with the time I spend with family, right? We all go through this professional development. It's like time blocking is important. So you put this time on your calendar for lead generation, for going on appointments, for home inspection. And then you have this time for your family too, right? So then you put that on the calendar. And what I found was that I was allotting the time to make myself feel good to get that check in the box that no, I have time. I spend time with my family. But what I realized is it's not, my time doesn't need more. My family doesn't need more time. They need more focus, more energy. They need more presence for me to be there. And I realized that is I did an exercise on like how involved I am with the time that I give my family. And the way I found this discovery was even though I'm Hawaiian, I was born in Hawaii. I grew up in California. I'm from Arizona. And so Arizona's hot. There's only man-made water around. So I'm probably the only Hawaiian that doesn't really like the beach. I don't like sweating unless I'm playing a sport or making love to my wife, right? Besides that, I just don't like the sweat, right? It's not my thing. And so going to the beach requires you standing outside and sweating. And what I found was my wife would invite me to the beach because my kids are water babies. So we'd go. But when we went, I'd have a tent, I'd have my speaker, I'd have my headphones, I'd have my hat, I'd have a book, and I'm at the beach. I am allotted the time to be there with my family. But when my kids are in the water, my wife is going back to and fro, like, doing that. Like I wasn't present. I wasn't out there enjoying the water and the sand with them. I was just at the beach. And that really hit me because my kids are starting to get older. And so what I found was like the very next time we went to the beach, I was the first one to jump in the water with them, right? With my jeans on. Like I felt compelled to
Jeans.
maximize the moments, right? And so
With the
now
jeans on?
with my jeans on, I didn't care. I was like, I'm getting it. It's just a pair of jeans. I can get another pair of jeans, you know? And so we now have attributed that to my team. Like we call it magical moments. Like, don't tell me what time you have allotted for your family. Go tell me what magical moments you're going to create to really maximize that time you're spending with them. And so that was one of my personal huge things that kind of hit me, or a notable conversation that really had an impact on me. And then the second one had to deal with my wealth building journey. They essentially say something to the effect of like, you know, people speak to you on the level you understand. And I believe that what school teaches us and life expects us to know, there's a big gap in financial literacy. And the reason why I couldn't take care of my financial future or take hold of it the way I want it is because I didn't understand tax mitigation strategies. I didn't understand entity structures or how to read payroll or P&Ls. And like, I didn't understand how to take advantage of maximizing the finances in my life to go drive a big result. And so when they said people speak to you on the level you understand, I was already fairly educated. I went to the Naval Academy. I served as an officer, but it really made me think I need to hyper focus on this segment of life that I think is a gap that most Americans in general have. And so I really started diving into tons of wealth building and strategy implementation the last 3 years. And it truly has changed my life. So those are the two.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Those are great. What would you say the biggest misconception is about being a real estate team owner?
One, that you're raking in the dough, and that that you're just making a lot of money. I do think the real estate team does have an opportunity to have a pretty good profit margin as compared to the brokerage. I think the brokerage, a real estate investor slash brokerage owner, slimmer profit margins, and I think that's just the way what the industry's trending. And so I know when I was a new agent, a lot of times it was like, I want to be a market center investor and I want to be an OP. And I would say, peel the onion back, run the financials. It's probably not what you want to do. It's the idea of what we think the next step is. It's kind of like when a buyer agent says, I want to be a listing agent. Like they think it's the next progression. And I did too. And now knowing the misconception on the back end is like, being a brokerage owner isn't that sexy. There's not a lot of profit behind it. I love the environment it creates to have 130 agents. That's a talent attractor. And then so I would say like the real estate team. And then when I get to the real estate team, I think the misconception is like a lot of people want to start a team because they need help. And I think that's the misconception. You shouldn't start a team until you can help people. And until people understand that small difference, I think you're going to struggle trying to grow your team or trying to get profitable because we just need help. And that's going to cause high turnover. But when you can help people, you're building a stronger foundation to create a successful business for sure.
Oh, that goes to my next question. What advice do you give agents wanting to start a team?
I would say first things first, go find 5 teams that are of the similar size that you want to grow to. Or I would say find 2 that are similar size, 2 or that are slightly bigger, and then 2 that have failed starting a team. Like they started and then went back. And why? Because I do believe you should have real conversations with real business owners that have done or did, right? You shouldn't be guessing on what the experience could be like. Now, everybody's business is different, so you get different perspective. But I think it's important to learn like what it takes or what's necessary to drive that result. And then once you do that, you'll be able to make an empowered decision instead of just a want decision. Like you'll know what the numbers are, what they should be. You'll get different perspectives. And then I guess the last piece of that part is like there's only 2 ways to go when you're starting a team, and you have to be readily committed to it, right? If you want to start a team, the 2 best ways to go is either you go super big, and when I mean big, I mean like 20 or more agents, right? You got to. Or you stay super small. And what I mean by that is like no more than 3 agents. And so if you can commit to that and understand the financials and the business acumen under what those 2 models look like, just don't get caught between 4 and 19. Like that's called the messy middle. It takes more lift to drive more revenue before you get the GCI on the back end. And so, yeah, stay away from the messy middle, but really understand if you want to, you should, but only when you can help people, right? And then if you do, there's one of 2 ways: stay super small or go super big.
I didn't realize that was called the 4 to 19 is the messy middle.
Yeah, yeah. Go actually, NAR released a report last year, and I think the number is really like 11 to 19. But at that point, if you got 4 agents, like you can do, there's enough there. Like there's no point of having 9. Like the only point of getting to 9 to me is like the liftoff point to go get 20. And
Yeah.
and in full transparency, like right now, I have 12 agents, so I'm in the messy middle. Now, last year I had 6. We made a conscious decision to grow, and we got 11. So we were as high as 17 because I was trying to break that 20 number, right? We were trying to
Yeah.
get up, and then we've slowly cycled back. So right now we have, what did I say, 12
Yeah.
producing agents, 2 that kind of are part-time. And so we're back in the messy middle, and I'm trying to figure out what direction are we going to go, right? What's the next best right decision? And so we're either going to bring in a recruiting class in April, or we're just going to hyper focus on the current group we got and try to stay at that smaller level.
What is it that you look for as a team owner when you hire a new agent? Like, are you looking for particular traits or characteristics? Like, are you hardcore on KPAing people? Like, tell me about that.
That's been a journey. I think initially when we start and we're new business owners trying to start, I think you're not a business owner, you're a real estate salesperson at first. We just want to say we have a business, but you're really a sales agent, right? As you're growing it, and then you start developing business education, you're trying to create a real business, right? But if you operate in your business, you're still slightly in sales, right? Until your business can operate without you, right? And so when we started hiring, I would say because of my experience in the Navy and owning a market center, like the agent side, I'm pretty dialed in. Like I can go find the kind of agent that I want. And what my avatar looks like is like I've leaned towards full-time agents because I find myself it's harder to drive a full-time result with part-time bandwidth, right? Now, what I will say, there are people that are super successful. We're a heavy military town. There's tons of full-time active duty that are running full-time numbers in their businesses. But when you're trying to run a company or a business that you're driving, it's hard to do that with part-time attention, right? And so then it's hard to hold them accountable when you're trying to do things. And so we kind of went that, but our agent avatar is full-time real estate agent, meaning full-time hours. They have the availability and capacity to come in the office, and a lot of it is around mindset. Like I think we can teach the skills and the education around contracts. Like I can teach anybody conceptually how to get a deal done and how to review contracts, but there's certain innate traits that they need to have for us to know that they're going to do. And so, money's important, but it can't be everything. Like if you can really understand your big why, like the best agents that I've had that are running 6 figures or more in our business now started by saying, you know, money's important, but I'll do whatever. Like they understood the value of partnering with me or with the team. They're like, hey, just tell me what I need to do and I'll go do it. Now the concept is they trust me enough to take care of them along the way, not just the blind leading the blind. But yeah, it's a full-time agent for us. Like we can't. The part-time agent is hard for us to drive, and so we've tried. It just hasn't worked for us. So there's probably better leaders than me that can have them, but I'm not the one today. I need to be to have that. So
So
full
you're
time.
so you're just looking. That's the main thing you're looking for. Someone that can commit to being a full time agent.
Yeah, full time. And then there's a couple little things we do. Like I invite them to a team meeting. I invite them to a daily huddle. Like them saying they're coming and then showing up is important. If they don't show up, they're already indicating to me that there's bad habits in terms of that, right? The people that want to show up to a daily huddle, it's just a call, team meeting on Tuesday. Once they do that, I bring them in. I do have them take the KPA. I don't do a whole validation. So if you know that whole process, there's four
Yeah.
like I don't do the whole validation. I do the resume checks and I do the motivation interview. So those are the 2 key pieces that we do. After that, there's a lunch with my team ALC. We call it TLC, our Team Leadership Council. I'm just taking the model from KW, and then they go out to lunch and they have like a more transparent conversation. I tell them, hey, ask about splits, compensation, expectations, blah, 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 blah. They come back. And when they come back, I ask my leadership team what they thought of the person. Do they find that they think they're going to be a good culture fit? And if so, I get the thumbs up. Then I reach out to the person or they reach out to me and it's like, I'm ready to go. And then I have a COVA commitment letter. And then I send them the COVA commitment letter. Once they commit, we have a very, this has been updated, but we have a very strict onboarding process. First week being hello week. After that, it's onboarding and then a 30, 60, 90. And so we do actively do that, implement that. We have real KPIs. Like it is something that our operations team does. And so, yeah, full-time agents, because to be with us, you're going to have to show up a certain way in order to drive a big
Oh yeah,
result.
I love that. Yeah, I've recently KPA'd 3 people in the past 2 weeks, and yeah, KPA isn't always the best indicator.
Yeah.
When
Now
getting
there's
a good
multiple
job from for.
pieces. Yeah. KPA is like 25%, right? It's like KPA is 25%. their past history is 25%, right? How they show up to all of the things after that, 25%. And then like 25% is what I call the vibe check. Like, when people are just for you or not, like you can kind of get that feeling, right? And so, yeah, it's more all encompassing, but I do believe the KPA is a great start. Now, I'm really good on the agent side. I will tell you that a fault of mine is like I suck on the op side, like the hiring, the operation side. And so that has been a challenge that my partner has been taking the lead on because I have not done the best job in identifying operations talent, which could be a me thing. So we've hired some third party things to help us do that, but that's a journey I'm still going on.
Okay, great. Well, what do you think holds people back from doing their best?
Internal talk, self doubt. I would say self doubt, and then like the world, man. Unfortunately, we're in a world of like a lot of loud noise and negativity. And so when we already intrinsically have some self doubt, and then the world is also doubting us, I think it's hard. And that's why I believe I'm a big relationship person. You need to be very intentional with the environment and the people you surround yourself with. That is what helps people overcome those things in order, to have success. Is that sometimes I need a Darnell who believes in me and I can borrow his confidence until I can get my own, right? Because some people don't naturally have that. And so I do believe that be very intentional with the environment you put yourself in and then the people you surround yourself with. If you get those right, you'll never have any doubt.
Awesome. So, how do you reframe your mindset, your attitude when shit hits the fan?
Again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I am very grateful and thankful for the people that I have discovered in life as friends and family and business partners. And if I just talk to myself every day, it would be a very hard conversation all the time, right? But finding like my business partner in my retail business is Megan Anderson. She's completely different than me, but she allows us to evaluate trials and tribulations and how somebody different than me would be able to solve them. Because I have one way, she has one way, and it's just good to be able to get it out. In my market center, it's Keith Hinton, right? In life, one of my best friends is Jordan Griggs, so we allow each other to process. And then in my personal life, it's my wife, right? And I think the communication flow from those four individuals specifically allow me to reframe anything because I believe that by talking to them in different pieces of my world, like they allow me to let it out, digest, create a plan of attack, and keep it moving. And so I think that's been super important for me, and I'm thankful every day for people like that in my life.
I love that. I didn't think it would take you so long to mention Jordan Griggs. I thought he would come up sooner. I know he's your best friend. And you guys started right about the same time, right? And you guys met. Did you guys meet in the military?
No, actually, Jordan and I, funny, I can't remember if it was on this podcast or another one that we saw each other, but I think we said in giving, you're always receiving. And so Jordan and I, locally, there was a new brokerage being launched. He was at a boutique brokerage, and then I was at Keller Williams, but this new brokerage was like a new one. They were doing a launch party. And so it's crazy that Jordan and I met at this launch party supporting a third party brokerage that was launching in their owners. And so, funny story, like he had a woman at the time that he was very close with. And I actually knew her like a decade earlier. So we had mutual acquaintances. And so when I showed up there, she was like, "Hey, Kay, how you doing?" I was like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And then it was funny because Jordan was the man at the table that was looking at me side eye. Like, who's this guy that knows my girl? And I'm like, easy, buddy. That's your girl. You can keep her, man. That's not me.
Great.
But that's how we met. We actually chopped it up at that event. Like the first time we met each other, like, oh, I'm over here. I'm at Keller Williams. We just talked about our businesses, found out we were both in the military. He was a sports guy. I don't know if we call baseball a sport, but I was a basketball guy. So I allowed him to we got in conversation. And then after that, it just sparked a friendship. And for like a year and a half, he actually stayed at his boutique brokerage. And like we were just mutual friends that were in the business. And the business allowed us to stay in touch, but then our friendship blossomed. And then a year and a half later, he went to family reunion and we kind of built that friendship even more. And then when I decided to take the team leader position, again, I value people and partnerships. He came over to help me run the office as my co-team leader. So it was super, super slow, but really cool relationship story for sure.
I love that. That's pretty cool. All right. Why would you say the Navy is the best branch of the military?
I wouldn't say that. I don't know who told you that, but it is the one I served in. And I would just say the military in general was an amazing experience, right? And so I was a surface warfare officer. And so a lot of people don't know this. This might be good for you. Did you know, Darnell Aponte, that the Marine Corps is inside of the Department of the Navy?
Yes, I was in NJROTC in high school.
Ah, so you would know. You would know.
I was
Most people
I was
don't.
Yeah, most people don't know. I was our master at arms in our JRTC. Did all the fun stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's super cool. There's also like people don't know that like yes, the Navy is ships, but we also have submarines. We also have helo pilots and jet pilots, and so it's kind of like it's all encompassing, right? But no, the
the
Navy
Navy
was
has the Navy has more airplanes than the Air Force, don't they?
listen. The chair force, I'm not sure what they do. You know what I'm saying?
uh yeah.
That's what we call them, right? And so it's funny. Like people always say, like if we had the rank and order, it would be like Air Force, Army, Navy. And I'd be like, why? And it's mainly because it's the chair force, man. And then the army, it's like the laziest services first, and then you get to the Navy where real men work. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
man, I love that. I love that. That was great. I know you're a huge basketball fan. What's your favorite basketball moment, whether of somebody else's or your own personal moment?
Oh wow. So I've had basketball was another thing that changed my life. The relationships I've had throughout my life. I'm in the Hall of Fame in high school. I'm in the Hall of Fame at the Naval Academy. But I would say one of my cooler experiences besides college, I would relive college all over again, college basketball specifically, over and over if I could. It was some of the best moments of my life. I just love the game that much. But post Naval Academy, while I was serving in the Navy for 8 years, my last year, my command allowed me to try out for what is called the All Navy team. So in the military, there's Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force. We actually have inter-service tournaments in different sports. And then after you have that tournament, national tournament, you actually create an all-star team of an all-military team, and then you can go compete against other countries' militaries. Right? It's
Wow.
super cool. And so in 2016, I had the opportunity to play in the All Navy team. Once that, I made the All Star team or the All Military team. And there I met another really cool friend of mine, close friend of mine, Tillman Dunbar, who's my team leader of my market center now. But we got to play together. And so I graduated in '09. He graduated in 16 from the Naval Academy. So we didn't play at the academy together, but we both played there. But we got to play together on the all military team. And we went to Belgium, Germany, France, and we played a whole tournament. We actually won a gold medal together in the military game. So I would say that was an amazing time in my life and cool story because we got to win a gold. And then it was funny while I was there and we won the gold. When I returned home from Christmas, that's when my wife told me she was pregnant with my son. And so it was a win-win right there.
Well, that's awesome. Have you ever been starstruck in business or in real estate? Is there anyone you met? You're like, oh my god, wow! Like, can't believe I'm actually able to meet them and potentially have a conversation with them.
Um, I'm not a starstruck person. And honestly, I wish I was. I think like even it was just a bad trait to have when you're playing high level sports. Like celebrating. Like my coach used to always say, like, act like you've been there before. You know what I'm saying? Or like so it's always like I was an emotional person, but I repressed them in certain instances. So like hitting a game winner, I just wouldn't. I'd be like, nah, calm down. Like that's what we're supposed to do, right? You win a champion, like nah, chill out. That's what we're supposed to do. Like next, we need next. And I do wish, like in those moments, that I would have just enjoyed that moment more and celebrated in like its full capacity. And I think that transferred over to like star people. I was around like Rip Hamilton used to come to our college and play basketball during the summer, right? Kevin Durant grew up in Maryland, so we'd see him all the time. And then there are certain celebrities, like I just got to a point where it's like, nah, like act like you're somebody. And so I don't really get starstruck, which I think I wish I would be more excited or, I think it's more like with nowadays, it's more like people that hold information I get excited about to learn from, which is different.
Who are you most excited to learn from next?
I think Daniel Dixon was a first one, which you saw some of the excitement of learning how he created his world.
Yeah.
It also helped, not to make it the racial dynamics, but somebody who's of color that was doing it at a high level, right? My mentor is white, and so my partner in retail is white, right? And so like that's not a bad thing. I love them, and they've definitely helped me grow. But it was like somebody of color and male and it's married with a family. Like he was the first one that I can see like, oh man, he's like me. How do I go grow this thing, right?
Yeah.
So he was one. And then in the last, year or two, like there's been a guy named Brett Tanner, and I've been blessed to be learning from him every day on this wealth building journey. He launched a Be Wealthy network, which is all wealth building based. He's now done it for KW Wealth, and so he's somebody that I have access to that like I never want to waste that moment of learning because I know that like there's something he has that can change my life just based on where our lives are at now. Um,
Yeah.
and so if you ask my wife, she wants to go to a Justin Timberlake concert. So that's who she wants to go see. So I'm tasked with figuring out the next closest one. I think it's in DC or Atlanta. So we're going to go try to see JT.
Love it. Are you reading any books right now?
I am. I can't remember the name of it. One personal one is just one at the airport. It's called The Club. And it's not like, it's just a murder mystery. It's super cool though. It's about this hotel company that builds these fancy hotels on these islands or this mountain resort, but then there's like a murder, right, of the owner. And so they're figuring that out. But I'm a big reader for our team. The current book that we were reading, oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'm gonna. I'm so mad right now. I want to like scroll up to find it because I have it in my Audible right now. I
That's
can't remember the
okay.
title, but it's basically an operations manual on leveraging your business. And so it's a red book. I'll send it to you after this. It's not the MREA. It's a
Thank you.
different one. But it is just amazing in terms of structuring your business, your meetings, efficiencies, and it just talks about all the communication silos. Sounds boring and rote, but like for me, I'm in a part where like I'm trying to be efficient in my business. And so I'm reading all these leadership books that are looking at it from the top down on like how can I make this thing work better, right, or more efficiently. And so that's what I'm excited about.
All right. So let's say there's a biopic of your life. Who plays Kaleo Kina?
A biopic, huh? That's a good question, man. Like a celebrity?
Sure, anybody. Who plays you?
It would have to be hard because I'm Hawaiian and Samoan, right? So
Don't say The Rock.
I, The Rock, Jason Momoa, somebody of that stature, I mean, I would say that I can find myself in that lane. Would you agree, Darnell?
I don't know, man. I mean, what's that guy's name? Robert Downey Jr. played a black guy, so like it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a Hawaiian or a Samoan, you know.
I think those are the two closest ones to me right now. I mean, plus we got similar physiques and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So
yeah, I
I
can
want
see.
to.
I can see that. All right, your biography. What would the title of that be?
Mm, my biography. Give me 30 seconds to think. I'm pretty sure since you asked the question, you have one for yourself. What would yours be?
You know, I don't. I didn't think about that. I should have been
Oh,
prepared. Oh, it's a good question. I didn't put any thought into it for
and just like
myself.
a cool title. Is that what we're asking? Was the title of it?
Yeah, what would the title be? It doesn't have to be cool, you know, or uncool. It's whatever you think. You know, like for me, I'm not sure what it would be, but it would be something along the lines of like just figure it out or something, you know, and how you just go and whatever you're involved in or something to do with problem solving. You know, like a
Yeah,
lot of the times.
I might take one from Jordan and just make it because it's a kicker and just call it the Polynesian Prophet, right? And just talk about life experiences. The Polynesian Prophet might be one. Um, I live by three tenets: relationships, education, and execution. And so, like that might be roped in there somehow. If like those three words were just in the name of the book. And then I've just been big on another one, somehow incorporating like the tugboat versus the lighthouse or something, like the biography of Kaleo Kina. It's
You did
talking
mention
about
lighthouses earlier. You know, you like to be people's lighthouse.
yeah, man. I mean, I think a lot of times, unfortunately, we have to be tugboats, right? And we have to latch line drag and push and pull, and sometimes that creates, collisions. And yet, like the goal is to be the lighthouse so that you don't have to do that, that you can just show the direction and be the way of safety and learning and education. So it's just one of those things that I've recently, it's hit me and I'm just like, such a good analogy.
It is. It is. And last question. What's a question that, you wish people would ask you, but they don't?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. That question.
I got that from our boy Patrick Madigan, and he shared
Yeah.
this with me a long time ago. I think when I was interviewing Mark King, and he's like, ask him this question, and there's never not a time where I don't ask this question.
Man, honestly, it's probably generic. It's like it's a generic question, but I think that people will surface level it, but they don't even get too deep into it. But like, I just love people, and so it'd be like, what relationship has impacted you the most and why? Like, and I want that because I think people deserve their flowers today and not after they're gone. Like while we're on the journey together, I want people to know how much they've helped me. And so being able to say them by name, like I mentioned a Jordan or I mentioned my wife, Catherine Kina, like I say their names very specifically because I don't want to wait till it's too late to let them know how much I love them. Like I want them to know today that they're a part of my journey and I'm super appreciative.
Awesome. So I love that. I'm definitely asking the next guest that. What relationship impacted you the most? And for you, it's your wife and Jordan.
Yeah. Jordan would be lower. Just make sure since my wife watches this, Jordan
I
would be
said,
way
I
lower.
said, that's why I make sure to say your wife first. You can never top the mother of your children for sure.
For
Your
sure, for
wife.
sure.
Well, sweet. Thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you want to add before we go?
No, I mean, my name's Kaleo Kina. I've been friends with Darnell Aponte for probably 5 years now. He's been an amazing relationship to watch grow. And if there's any value I can bring you or your audience, right? You can find me at Kaleo Kina on Instagram, Kaleo Kina on Facebook, or just reach out to Darnell himself. And I'm pretty easy to get connected with. And so I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you so much for having me, Darnell. I really appreciate it.